All public benefit systems will now require national biometric ID enrollment. Benefits will be restored upon chip implantation.
They're making us choose.
Open it up, we need food! It's gone! EBT don't work nowhere!
Power grid outages are continuing across the officials urge residents to remain. That's it. They really cut us off.
To continue receiving nutritional credits, citizens must verify identity via implantable bio-ID. Please remain calm and follow the directions of registration officials.
Can you run it again? Did yours go through? All the cards are down?
Hold still. No chip, no eggs.
But I just...
Move along, ma'am.
Oh, baby.
And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand, or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. And these are the words that the Lord spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it.
The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah.
Yahawah. Yahawashi.
Isaiah 32. Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land.
We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name. Please save us. We need help. Please. Please.
Isaiah 4. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name, to take away our reproach.
Please save me. I need help. Please.
Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation.
Help us, please. Save us. Please help us. Someone save us, please. We can't go on like this.
All right, Shalom to elect Israel, to the whole elect Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, foreign Israelites, to the elect of the nations scattered across the four corners of the earth. Want to give all praise to Barak Thah, Barak Thah was shy. Barak Thah, Barak Thah was shy. Got to give all praises to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kodash. Name of the Heavenly Father, everybody intimately calls God. His true name in the ancient Hebrew, which is in the Lashwan Kodash. His true name is Yahawah. Bahasham means in the name of. Yahawashi is the Holy One of Israel, everybody intimately calls Jesus Christ. So-called Negro from the tribe of Judah, who was slain at the foundations of the earth for the salvation of the elect of Israel. Then you got 2/3 of the wicked Israelites here in America, Babylon, the great, and the other wicked Israelites scattered across the four corners of the earth that will come back to the lords of the elect after the destruction. The Ruach HaKodash is the Holy Spirit that has been bestowed upon the men. The Heavenly Father gave his only begotten Son out of the world to complete this work. So we always want to give double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, led us all to this truth. Been ordained by the Lord to teach the flock how to live, repent, pray fast, show forth the Lord's righteousness and mercy, judgment, forgiveness and wrath to all those who are part of the elect, to the hopeful elect. Lord, when we part of that number, Lord, when this be edifying us who fear the name of the Lord, strive to show forth the Lord's righteousness. Every day to the best of their abilities, his judgment always comes to light. Zephaniah 3:5, it is not slack. 2 Peter 3:9 is unto a ring. 2 Ezra chapter 5, verse 42. Shalom, I used to say believers out there tuning in here on after Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kodash, Rakathum. And we're just going to get into, a topic going into comparing Russia, which are, now the modern day Medes is Russia, and it's dealing with the Edomites, okay? And we're going to pair them with the ancient Medes and show you that, these are two different, two different types of Medes in the Bible, and, we're going to go into some comparison of, why, we know that today the Medes are the Edomites now, because the old Median Empire, they come from the seed of Japheth. Okay, those were not Edomites at that time. Okay, and so we're going to go into that and just give you some more history on that. So we'll get started. Just a few scriptures. Also this is Bahasham reporting out of GMS Oklahoma branch. Lord willing is edifying. We're going to start at Psalms chapter 49, verse 11. Simple scriptures, ones that we've heard. And it reads, their inward thought is, and this is talking about Esau, that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Okay, so this is talking about Esau, even the so-called white man. Like, this is how they are. They always, oppress a man. When they oppress a man in this house, they take his heritage, they take his identity, and because they don't want to be known and identified as the biblical Edomites. Okay, so they're always going to do that. Give me a sec. So as I was saying, anytime Esau, even the so-called white man, takes over a heritage, he always, it's like my allergies messing up right now. He always takes that heritage and basically blends it with his own kind of, like his own, with his own methods. And that's what he did to our heritage. That's what he's done to the other heritages of the earth. Okay. And we'll go to that next. Micah chapter 2. Stick with the basics, and then we're going to get into some history. So Micah 2 verse 1, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand, right? These weapons, Esau is blessed with the sword. Verse 2, and they covet fields, right? And take them by violence. Okay, that's what Esau does. And houses, and take them away, so they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. And that's what they have done, to all the nations of the earth. Okay, that's why when it talks about there was a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, that 7 heads is talking about the 7 regions of the earth that are controlled by Esau: Germania Minor, Germania Major. You got the French, you got the British, you got the Spanish, then you got the Romans, and then you got the Greeks. Okay, these are the 7 regions of the earth that Esau, rules through the sword. So that's why he's considered today the Medes. Okay, we're going to go into Isaiah, the 13th chapter, but we're going to read a little bit of, comparing the Medes and modern day Russia in all aspects possible to give you give you an understanding why we're saying this, okay, about them. So this is what ChatGPT said, and we're gonna filter through this because it's never gonna say that we're right, but we know that we are. It says if we're comparing ancient Medes with modern day Russia, we have to be careful not to force a connection that history cannot clearly prove, and it can. It can prove that, the Medes, when it talks about in Isaiah the 13th chapter, it can't be talking about the old Median Empire. Okay, because it talks about how the Lord basically was going to destroy the whole land. Okay, and old Babylon wasn't destroyed, okay, by fire. Okay, and even it said that it wouldn't be inhabited from generation to generation. So in that case, because when you look it up, it says that there's still people living there today. Okay, so we'll go into it and let's see what he says. It says there are similarities people point out, especially in some religious interpretations. That's what he's saying. But academically, they are very different people separated over 2,500 years. So we're showing you that even in that time, when the Medes took over, the Medes and the Persians took over Babylon, it couldn't have been the Medes that are here today. Okay, because through the Renaissance era and iconoclasm, which is basically they took all the images and basically made everybody look like Edomites in the Bible. There's no way Edomites could have been in that period. Okay, during the Babylonian era. Okay, they weren't around yet. Okay, but we'll explain more of that later. But like the Medes are Indo-Iranian people, right? Lived in ancient Media, northwestern Iran. Okay, related to the Persians, right? And even the Persians, a lot of them were, they were Japhetic people, spoke a Median language, Iranian branch of Indo-European, so Russia, their East Slavic majority population, most modern Russian identity formed from the Kievan Rus, right? 9th century AD. They speak Russian, Slavic branch of Indo-European. See, they're Europeans. Okay. And what are Europeans? They're Edomites. Okay. So this is how you know that the Medes in that day were not the Medes today, but this is showing you that this prophecy of Isaiah, the 13th chapter, is twofold. Okay. Because, it speaks of, in particular passages about old Babylon being taken down. Okay. And taken over by the Medo-Persian Empire, but this time it's different. Okay, it's like a repeated event, but with Esau involved and more nations involved. That's why Iran and Russia are both in the BRICS. Okay, in that time they were before they became the Edomites, even the Medes and Persians in that day. they were together. Okay, we'll go into this. So, as conclusion, different ethnic and linguistic roots: Medes, Iranian, Russians, or Slavic. But Slavic is not, that's not necessarily a ethnicity. Okay, that's how we know they're Edomites. That's why they use, that Jewish Slavic kind of Hebrew. The small hats do. Okay, like the German type of Slavic language. Okay, mixed with Hebrew, and that's what they do. They'll take your heritage and they'll blend it in with their heritage. That's what they've always done. That's why a lot of these sacrifices and stuff that they do in Hollywood and all the stuff they're doing with the whole Eastine case, you know what I'm talking about? All that. Those are rituals from the ancient Canaanites, which are the so-called Africans. Okay, the Hamites. That was their customs. So the Medes, territory, modern western and northern Iran, capital traditionally associated with Ekbatana, which is modern Hamadan. Russia is the largest country on earth. Spans Eastern Europe and Asia. Capital is Moscow. So conclusion, completely different geographic regions. So that's another way to show you that they're not the same. Political structure. Medes had a tribal monarchy. Kings like Xerxes, Ostages. Xerxes was, the one that we see in 300 who, went against the Spartans. And the Spartans were actually Israelites. Okay. So eventually absorbed Persia under Cyrus the Great. We've went into stuff like that. Russia is a federal semi-presidential republic. We know Vladimir Putin is ruling. Highly centralized power structure. Both historically strong centralized authority figures, right? Military culture. The Medes are known for cavalry and archery, right? See? So that's one thing that they have in common, their cavalry and archery, was basically, like Russia today, they have the best missiles. Okay, so that's why they're considered the Medes, in a sense. That's why they're considered the Medes, because they're good at their archery. Okay, shooting arrows. But now the arrows, since Esau's took it over them, he's taken those customs of the Medes. And they're forming that same kind of military power with missiles. So allied with Babylonians to destroy Nineveh in 612 BC, of course. Major force in overthrowing Assyria. Okay. Syria, Babylonian Empire. Okay. And, we go into, we talked about why do we call America, the land of the Chaldees. And we went into, why do we call this place spiritually, different things like Assyria, Egypt. But, I'm going to go into, Lord willing, soon into why do we call this place spiritually Assyria. I think I did go into it. I have to go look. But I know I did one about the Chaldeans. And we're going to do one going into why we call this place spiritually Egypt as well. So we're just going to go through all those, through time, Lord willing. So Russia, have a major global military power, nuclear arsenal, historically defeated Napoleon and Hitler, involved in modern conflicts, Ukraine war. So both were known as formidable military powers in their eras. Okay. So, the Medes mentioned in the book of Daniel, associated with the fall of Babylon, Daniel 5, also mentioned in Isaiah 13 regarding judgment on Babylon. But this in Isaiah 13 is talking about America. Okay. It's a whole nother judgment. Okay. We're going to point that out. Give me a second. All right, Slaki. So we're going to point that out. We're going to go through a little bit of Isaiah 13 and go through a couple other precepts. So it says, Russia is not directly named in the Bible, but they are Gog and Magog, okay? But they're also considered the Medes because why? Because they have that military arsenal power type of spirit in them, okay? They have like the spirit of the Medes in them because once they took over the Median Empire, these Edomites, they took along their customs, which one thing was what? Their archers, their missiles, basically. Those capabilities, that spirit of the Medes is on the Russians right now. So the interpretation is debated among scholars. They say some interpret Ezekiel 38, 39, Gog and Magog as referring to Russia, and it is. It is. What they're saying there's no clear historical or linguistic proof that Russia is the Medes, but that's not true because they took over all the regions of the earth. Okay? So to be a ruler of the whole of a whole region, one of the biggest, countries on the planet, there's no way that you're not going to be mentioned in the Bible. Like it's just, we're going to talk about everybody else, but Russia ain't in there. No, they're in there. That wouldn't be, what's the point? What's the point of the Bible if it has nothing to do with our lives being on the line and what's going on in the earth right now? What's the point? Because they try to make it seem like it's like a Hallmark gift card or something like, it's just for good morals. No, this is telling you the destruction is coming on this place. Okay? In high fashion and how it's going to get destroyed. So, they try to claim that both are Indo-European. That's not right. But different sub-branches entirely. No, both of them are not Indo-European. It didn't say that earlier. They said that they were more Iranian, okay, more Japheth. Esau comes from Shem. That's why they say anti-Semitic. It's not Semitic, it's Shemitic, okay, because they are Hebrew, but they're not Hebrew Israelites. They're Hebrew Edomites, okay. Anybody that comes out of descendants of Shem, they are Hebrew. But that doesn't mean that they're Israelites. Israel is Jacob, because Jacob's name was changed to Israel in Genesis. Okay? So they are Hebrew, but they're not Israelites. Okay? That's the point we're pointing out. So Medes influenced Persian court dress, cultural traits, early Iranian religion, possibly Zoroastrian influence, tribal confederation origins. Russia is an Orthodox Christianity dominant, that's Esau, plantation Christianity. That's his what he did to our heritage. He took it and made Christianity. So influenced by Byzantine Empire, strong Eurasian identity. Okay, because a lot of stuff that we did, it said we taught the wicked ones thy ways. So they took a lot of those traits of our people. In the Byzantine Empire, what they usually call this the Dark Ages. That's because Judah, Benjamin, and Levi were ruling the earth. Okay, the Holy Roman Empire. Okay, and it goes into the 5 good emperors. We won't name them. We'll name a few of them. Marcus Aurelius, Trajan. What's the other one? Trajan. Then you got Autonomous Pius. You got what's his name? I can't remember the other two right now. Anyways, let me type them in so I can give them all to you because I can't remember right now. These were all Jakes. Yeah, Nerva. Yep. Nerva and then Hadrian. Yeah. And I wanted to say his name, but it's kind of hard to say his name sometimes for me. So Hadrian, Autonomous Pius, and Marcus Aurelius. These were all, basically Jakes. Okay. So a lot, Byzantine means backwards because our people were basically, we weren't worshiping the Heavenly Father. We started, doing this basically what we know today as plantation Christianity. Esau took, a lot of that those customs that we were doing. We were worshiping false gods, and they took that and blended it with, their already screwed up doctrine. So, strong Eurasian identity, historical timeline, Median Empire, 678 to 550 BCE. Russia as a state emerged around the 9th century AD. That's coming around, you know what I'm saying? Coming around what you call it, the Renaissance era. Okay. So modern Russian Federation, 1991 to present. So there's a 1400 plus year gap between the fall of the Medo-Persian Empire by the Greeks and other early Russian states. Okay, because those early Russian states were all taken over by Esau. Okay. So it says, right, we tell you that the Medes are the Russians. It's saying prophetic theological claims. We're telling you this is what it's saying, though. It said Russia fulfills prophecy about northern invaders. However, academic historians do not support direct ethnic or national continuity. Like those basically these big scholars who've been reading the Bible for thousands of years. You think just because they've been reading the Bible for thousands of years, they know what it's talking about. They've been trying to figure it out for years. The Medes were absorbed into the Persian Empire and became part of the Iranian peoples, but they were taken over by Esau. That's why we're telling you, like the Medes were Iranian, right? There's Japheth. Then the Russians are Edomites, okay? So it says there's no archaeological evidence connects Russian to the descendants of the Medes because they're not. They're Edomites, okay? So they're showing you that the Medes are not the same as modern Russia, okay? The old Medes. So this is how you have to understand the scriptures. You have to understand it in history, So I pointed out to it. I said he said that's because the Medes were replaced and conquered by the European Edomites. All the regions of the world are conquered by Europeans. And so basically he tries to say the Medes were not wiped out by the Europeans. Ain't nobody ever say that. They were conquered around 550 BC by Cyrus the Great, right? Right? And he tried to basically say, the Europeans conquer all regions, right? Spain, Britain, France, Portugal, it said, did not colonize large parts of the Americas, Africa, parts of Asia, and Australia. Exactly. So for it to be, when you go into Isaiah 13, this clearly is talking about, it's got to be talking about another time. So, it says they did colonize large parts of the Americas, Africa, parts of Asia, Australia, but they did not replace populations in Iran, replace populations in China, replace populations in India, replace populations in the Middle East. But what we're saying is though they didn't replace the population, but they're controlling them. They're over them. That's why there's a McDonald's in every damn place in the world, okay? Because the Esau that took over that place. We're not saying that he didn't just killed all the people and took over. Like, no, he basically, blended his rhetoric with them, okay, and is controlled over. That's why the U.S. dollar is, was the most powerful in the world, So, so it says in the Bible, Edom. It says the Edomite claim. It says Edom refers to the descendants of Esau. Biblically, it's tied to people living south of Judah, okay, in southern Jordan area. Historically, Edomites were absorbed into surrounding populations by the Roman period. Yeah, they were everywhere because that's what it said Esau would be like. He would say he'd be a thief and a vagabond and will wander in the earth. That's what they were everywhere. But they say there's no academic evidence linking all Europeans to biblical Edom. Yes, there is. You can't be a European and then not be Edom. That's why I said right here, he said, pull this up real quick. Got just a little bit more time. So when you go to Jeremiah, verse 10. Whew. It says, I have made Esau bare and uncovered his hiding places. See, that's what he tried to do. He tried to take over all the regions of the world, and he tried to basically take everybody else's religion and blend it in with him. You know? That's basically what he did. It's lucky. So he said, I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. Right? His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, right? Which are, you know, different classifications of different Europeans. You got the Germans, you know, you got the Greeks, you got all these different types of Edomites, but they're all Edomites. So, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not, which means he's going to be destroyed. You know, and whoever's dealing with them is going to be destroyed. But, you know, we know that in the kingdom, you know, everybody's going to come back and pay for what they did here. Everybody that's not an Israelite, you're going into slavery. And then after 1,000 years of slavery, Esau is going to be completely taken off the earth for what they did. Okay. You know, going in the book of Obadiah. So, and then you got these Christians talking about Esau is done away with. Well, that would go against y'all whole thing about the Lord is going to save everybody. That's not applicable to prophecy. So, you know, it says important. Let me see. Let me get to the point. Let's not point that out. That's we already pointed that out. So, like we said, he's trying to say like they're not. He basically tried to say they're not Europeans at first, but I went down. He tried to point all this stuff out. Let me get to the question. It says, are they related to the Europeans? Yes, Russians are Europeans. He tried to make it seem like it was a whole bunch of other stuff. No, they're Europeans. They're Edomites. Okay, that's why when it says Satan will cast out Satan, that's talking about the Russian Edomites sending missiles over here and blowing this place up because they're both got the spiritual demon Satan in them. All Edomites have the spiritual demon Satan in them. There ain't just some of them that got it. All of them got it, the spiritual demon Satan in them. Okay? So always destroying shit. We're just about done. See, prophecy is about Babylon, right? And we'll just get to the point. We're going to jump up to verse 5. We'll do verse 5. It says, they come from a far country. Let's talk about the missiles. From the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. See? Those are talking about missiles. Okay? So I was talking about how you, verse 6, how you for the day of the Lord is at hand, it shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. That ain't going to be some small destruction. It's going to be this place completely on fire. Verse 7, therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. And they shall be afraid, pain and sorrow shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman travaileth, and they shall be amazed at one another. Their faces shall be as flames. That's plain. They're going to be on fire. Old Babylon didn't get destroyed by fire at all. And when you go over here, back over here, this is what he tried to say, because this is how ChatGPT is. Like, if it doesn't think you know the truth, it's not going to tell you. Okay, it's trying to get you to basically accept a lesser truth. This is the point of it. But when you go down, let me go to the point. So I said, did the Medes come out of Shem, Ham, or Japheth? It said, biblically speaking, the Medes are traced to Japheth. See? So that's why you have, particular camps trying to point out to say, oh, Esau is Japheth. No, that doesn't make any sense because they're not related in any sense. Like 1,400 plus years later, they have no connection at all to each other, at all, because Esau just took over that region. Okay, we're not saying he just killed all the people and said, like, we're saying that he took over the region. He's running everything over there. Okay. So the name Madai is traditionally referred or identified with the Medes. Okay. So there's no way that, this prophecy about the Lord stirring up the Medes, it couldn't be nothing really to do with, old Babylon. Okay. Has to do it right now because it talked about after they destroyed Babylon with the missiles, it said it'll never be inhabited again. There's people over there living right now. But watch this. I want to make a point. So, I said this to him. Oh, we got to keep going. It's not letting me go down no more. I know I had more than this. Where is it at? Yeah, I think it took out the rest of what I had down there. It's lucky. But it was something I wanted to point out. But I don't think it's going to let me answer it. But basically, when I was asking it, it was trying to make it seem like nobody else is living in old Babylon. They tried to say that nobody lives in Babylon anymore. But that's not true. I'll pull it up real quick. Because he tried to use verse 20 and say, oh, well, old Babylon is not being inhabited anymore. And that's not true. And this is what I pointed out to it. It was like, yeah, that's historically accurate. There's still small communities still living in Babylon. So this prophecy cannot be talking about old Babylon right now. Because it said it wasn't going to be inhabited anymore. So it says, over those 700 years, it gradually declined from a major city to near total abandonment, right? Small communities have continued to live in the area, and nearby towns such as Halal remain inhabited on the historical site. So there's still people there in old Babylon. So we can't be talking about old Babylon in Isaiah 13. It said that they said they come from a far country to destroy the whole land. That's talking about the missiles. And it says their face shall be as flames. That can't be talking about old Babylon. There's people still living there. Okay? So we know that's not what it's talking about, So, and we're going to point this out. Babylon will fall to the Medes. Verse 17, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which is talking about America, Babylon the Great. That's why we got this World War III going on and the disputes that they're having against each other. Okay? It's talking about that right now. Which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they should not delight in it, right? They're not using the dollar really no more, okay? They're not using the resources that America has to offer them anymore, okay? That's what it's talking about. Verse 18, their bows shall also dash the young men into pieces, and they have no pity on the fruit of the womb, and their eyes shall not spare children. Verse 19, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, right? Because old Babylon wasn't considered the glory of kingdoms. Okay, they tried to say it was the most powerful. They say it was the most powerful, one of the most powerful, places in their time, one of the most powerful kingdoms in their time. But Not it wasn't considered just the best place ever. Like, that's why it got taken over. Okay, just talk about America. The glory of kingdom, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, right? Because they went and rebuilt it. You know, when you go into Micah chapter 1, verse 4, it said, Esau said, we are impoverished, but we will rebuild the desolate places. This is them rebuilding, you know, basically, you know, what they lost in Babylon, you know. And you know, of course, since it's Edomites doing it, and they, you know, they marveled different different cultures, you know, they kept that Babylonian, you know, kind of mindset and built, you know, a revived Rome. They mixed it in with their, you know, with Rome, because the Rome's and the Edomites, you know. So the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed by fire. Okay, so this could be talking about old Babylon. It ain't get destroyed by fire. Verse 20, it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Well, it said there's small communities in there to this day. It can't be talking about old Babylon. It wouldn't make no sense. You know, it's talking about America. So it says, neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. Okay, there can be nobody here no more. Okay, so that's how we know. We're going to do one more precept, then we're going to get out of here because I got to get to the plantation. This is Isaiah 54:16. Okay, the Oppenheimers and stuff is right here. This was talking about here, right here. This is talking about the Oppenheimers who made the missiles, the Germans. This is Isaiah 54, verse 16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, right? And bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. Like, what else could that be? And when you go into Joel chapter 2, it talks about, you know, them not thrusting into each other. And it says when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded, which means they're going to hit and they're going to detonate. And when you look up that word sword, it's silah, and it literally says missile. Okay, it says missile there. Okay, when it goes to the definition, but we're not going to go into it. But you know, just showing you why in the scriptures, you know, the similarities between the old Medes and the new Medes, you know, really deal with their arsenal, their archers. You know, today an archer would be what? You know, the missile silo, and the arrows are the missiles. Okay, so this is like, you know, on a bigger scale, man. You know what's going to happen to, you know, Babylon the Great. Okay, so you know, we'll just stop right there. But Lord wills, edify to the flock. Peace and blessings to the elect. Ball. Double honors to those and apostles of Great Millstone. Kwame Sarala. Shalom.